peace. Thus my decision is to walk with this beast. Through tones, melodies, poems, and beats. But when the time comes, shoot it out in the middle of the street. We got protect plus homeschool. Our babies is a must. They not just no moms, but also no posses. Spola, worshiping pedophiles, wanna feed out children's spirits to robots. Turn all of us from carbon bases to silicone base. Should be when the shit show stops. Get back to doing for ourselves. Water system irrigation and grow crops. I'm envisioning a world full of love and peace. Thus my decision is to walk with this beast. Through tongues, melodies, poems, and beats. But when the time comes, shoot it out in the middle of the streets. I'm saying I'm not some master teacher, no am I some pastor or preacher. Was released represent with this passion to speak up after doing 25 years in the beast cuffs. Realize they tried to teach us spiritual, mental, physical diet. They tried to feed us the fire of our ancestors resides in each of us. With that, I'm inspired to turn this heat up. I'm envisioning a world full of love and peace. Thus my decision is to war with this beast. Through tones, melodies, poems, and beats. But when the time comes, shoot it out in the middle of the streets.
We're really approaching almost like it's a Frankenstein moment. And they're framing it to us as, innovation, right? We should all be so excited that this is happening. And, I equate it to like the golem bringing in like these robots. They would like to feed our life force to learn us in every tiny detail, not to empower us, but to actually transform us into a robotic simulation that is under their full control.
Blue sky, no high ground. My crown slash helmet, so my aircraft still spit. Can't be tied down like you see building. I look down, I see green like a Celtic. My heat pulverizes, the cheese is melted. The realness of cash money, I dispelled it. You did the futures in my eyes, I beheld it. The finger fucked, it caused my hand, I dealt it. Felt it vibrate from the gut of my pelvic. It must almost spices of hell shit. So radiant, I keep a dark room well lit. Cause you little goofies are well quick. My heart, body for real, monkey velvet. Body, you not for marches of females clip. As a kid, all I did was fight. I did the bit with a knife. I know I can spit my flows and shit to a fly low. Haters wanna crucify a real man. I still stand with the silver hand, but we're healing man. It's not Cypress Hill, I'm Tuttle shit. I'm one tough cookie. I don't follow, I set standards. Catch me, you gon' have to do more to scam. Need more to scanners. I'm off the radar. I am as your goofies play God. Some worship the Christ, others pray to Allah. Chase a high, drink paper or bruh. You stagnated, well I straight evolve. At a rate, I'm data space AC, y'all. Bust stuck in the cage, face off. Active shape the state is a fake, a fraud. Battlestar intergalactic, my mindset. Perfect comes from practice, so I rhyme best. I excel like I'm climbing the step. You got a lot to learn. I am adept, you of no concern. I am a threat. My measurement, width, lift, height, and depth. I'm just piloting up. Flying a jet, straight to adversary. Martial Chronicles like Ray Bradbury. I'm a thorough guy, goddammit. Symmetric apparel of a fly bandit. Mohawk, aviators, aerodynamics. And it's like I'm an arrow in precise transit. A crystal Carol lies what your fans get. Your worlds and perils what I transmit as a transcript. Or I just spit it off the top. It's either shit or get off the pot. This shit's hot.
Wants to get his own crew. Everybody wants to get his own crew rich. And then they want the other little people never get a piece of the pie. I don't want to go for the pastor. I go for you niggas that think that y'all big too. I understand this. That's why you niggas and crackers can't stand me. You niggas just know that I know you can't do nothing if you're broke. Listen to me, young people and old people too. Mostly black people. I'm talking to you.
Sure. Y'all really thought that I was done with y'all. Nah. I'm really down on y'all.
a lot of this music, it's only talking about the suppressed rising. I mean, the oppressed rising up against the oppressor. That's all. That's what my music's about. The oppressed rising up against the oppressor. So the only people that's scared are the oppressors. The only people who could have any harm coming to them are those who oppress. Simple as that.
3 pound pressure, no weight lesser. Drop the oppressor, make no surrender. 3 pound pressure, no weight lesser. Drop the oppressor, make no surrender. 3 pound pressure, no weight lesser. Drop the oppressor, make no surrender. 3 pound pressure, no weight lesser. Drop the oppressor, make no surrender. It's time for a change, gotta bounce up. The oppressor's about to get housed up. I'm laying him out, execution style's too late, but apologetic claim. You wrapped in a cloak of flame, my God, it's overdue. Your time is to the end. Locked out, silent without sin. He put me on the planet for justice to win. The oppressor's about to get rolled up. With suppressors attached in the war zone. Revolution can start in the Arizona. I'm a messenger popping like Farrakhan. Backed by the honorable, who sits at the pinnacle. Who's judges and hypocrites, who's cynical with the beautiful symbol. My thinking is critical.
Cooler than yesterday. And then they got a lot of deadly stuff in the air. I'm gonna read it to you before we get started, and I'm gonna tell you a little story. Oh, then I'm gonna read it.
Habit took a stand, or kneels too late when the cats get bills. Don't believe in TC type. Ruin hits close to home. You gotta act the bone, but it got the dome when it's on the zone. All red in my vision through sight. It's gonna be killed whenever I bite. From above, I'll be given the right. So you better be ready to ride tonight. All the way to the dawn daylight. We gon' rid them all, so gon' pass the kite. 3 pound pressure, no weight lesser. Drop the oppressor, me no surrender. 3 pound pressure, no weight lesser. Drop the oppressor, me no surrender.
Some more of that gas.
3 pound pressure, no
Gas
weight
nano.
lesser. Drop the oppressor, me no surrender. 3 pound pressure, no weight lesser. Drop the oppressor, me
Each around, keep pulling bonds up. And no court martial, nothing. Execute every one of them. Every one of them.
Everybody back off. You know, everybody.
And they wouldn't care
going
anyway.
back from school,
Well,
everywhere,
at the,
big business,
when it happened, right before, they felt like with the chemicals,
push,
they carry that.
step, crush.
For that
That's how it
moment,
all
but
is, and
it's
like,
too late then.
Nobody ever stopped.
Every one of them. And then go for Black Rock. And then APAC. Every one of them. Only problem is that's all your government. That's why they've been going after the racists, but there's so many of them, they have to work hand in hand, kind of. A lot more y'all, but y'all are still too. But that's by law. I'm not talking about emotions or feelings, because it's stupid. It's not going to stop the inevitable. But it would show. It would reestablish. You know? But like I said, y'all know everything. Y'all smart. Y'all work things out with nobody's assistance or help. You know, y'all got it together. You know everything. Y'all know everything. Yep. I'm gonna say this again. If you're all into religion and crayon colors and or you just being nosy, please unsubscribe. I don't want you here. You know what? If it never gets to where it needs to be, I've told enough people the story. Not the story as how I'm going to tell it to you guys, because even they're waiting for some things. They're still here. They just don't say nothing. But yeah, please do me a favor. Get out of here. I don't care about you if you don't care about yourself. I don't. All right? I really don't. I really don't. Okay? I'm not losing nothing. I'm the one not running around having to belong to a bunch of big stuff, this, that, and the other. Think I'm my own, I own this. Look at me, I do. No. Get. Seriously. Anywho, so this is what they had to say. This is what the lying y'all's governments and y'all's media. First, let me read this. Denying the original inhabitants and setting them in the lowest of of the hemisphere are established, yet the usury of their accomplishments being subjected to narrow. Let me start from the top because it's a lot. I forgot I had quite a bit there, and I kind of started halfway. Excuse me. I was reading something else. Anyway, let's save the world and inoculate everyone, and offer free weed, burgers with fries, and even vending machines with drug paraphernalia, while veterans and mothers with children not on drugs are homeless. Why don't we? Let's keep wars going as described in the 50s, and nobody will recognize the warmongering and overthrow of governments who are actually about to fix their problems. And then support by sending weapons to the worst side, which is support, which we convince people of. And because we are the illusion of rich with an absurdity called government, and we can do whatever we want while saying constitutional shit. Yet ignoring everything by the people to fulfill our sadistically narrow-minded mindsets that is part of the bigger betrayal and disease hidden behind pharma, banking, religion, and a complex that utilizes the people and kills them in utter ignorance while professing democracy and righteous nonsense. How about the continuance of denying the original inhabitants and setting them in the lowest of hemisphere, yet the usury of their accomplishments being subjected to narratives that are not just baseless foolishness, but entirely fabricated lies and a hijack of all their creations, our intentions, and have the propped up ones believing in their own BS or experiment. Yeah, I read different than that, but yeah, and I was rapping it too, but yeah. I wanted to read this to you. So yesterday, for about 6 hours, I couldn't find nothing of what this was. Now, if it was going with, this is how dumb. I know y'all, a lot of y'all listen to Arizona news and Utah and Washington and wherever you live, Texas and whatever. I know you listen to these idiots. How many times has meteorologists, the worst, goofiest, I forget the frats that some of them belong to, how many times have they been right? And they get paid pretty good. Well, on February 25th, 2025, smog surrounded downtown Phoenix, according to Cronkite News. How long has Walter Cronkite been? Anyway, the EPA has designated the Phoenix area's air quality as serious, which could lead to stricter regulations. All right. Now, when we get into the explanations of the 27th, yesterday, okay, we look at pollution sources. Much of Arizona smog comes from pollution that drifts in from California and Mexico. Other sources include wildfire, lightning strikes, and dust from northern Mexico, southern Mexico, and western Texas, southern Mexico. And you look at the map and it's made mighty clear. Health effects: poor air quality can cause coughing, nasal congestion, and other health problems. It's especially dangerous for people with underlying health conditions like asthma, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. First of all, firewood smoke, like an air condenser in this air out here, if it ain't right next to you, it ain't going to do nothing. Smog, as far as the fictional, when they're pumping stuff out at chemical plants, they got a lot of stuff going on. Most people never pay attention to because they don't research it. It's still electric coal-fired plants, you know what I mean? That's not good. You can get just running close down on a running track, and you can get bronchitis. So, you know, but when you go down here and you look for exactly, yesterday, New Year, new smog, health experts explain why Phoenix suffers. And it's not even Phoenix I'm asking about. I put in literally, I'll put it in again on the second one. Okay. This is how funny they are. So, today, fair. The air quality is generally acceptable. You know what generally acceptable means? It depends on what you're asking or talking about. That's why they don't pinpoint nothing. This is why you fake government. Everybody else. And there's a lot of people, backroom conversations. I have a lot of light-skinned brothers who tell me things. Obviously, they're involved in things, okay? And they say that there's something that's supposed to attack a certain group of individuals. This is how sick the strychnine in the blood of these individuals. Hey, baby, you saw me, huh? No, I didn't bring nothing out to eat. And this is serious. For those who don't know no better, and you come down with these things. Why is the air quality so bad in Arizona right now? Well, they allude to. Well, it's on YouTube, and I'm not going to play that for you right now. And as far as the cleanest air here, and they've always said this, Lake Havasu Kingman, and I think one or two other places. But you got to look at where that's located, and we're located in the mountains in the open. This stuff is literally right now. They just got through spraying over that way about, I don't know, 2 hours ago, and even the helicopters have been flying through. And look at this. This is crazy. Now, I don't fret about it, but this is not what you think it is. This is not the regular aerosol spray. This is some other new stuff, all right? And it's really, really bad. Let me tell you this little story. Let me paint a picture. Let me stand up. Okay. So, I know the new year when this happened, all right? Roughly, it was around 5:12, 5:15. Yes, 5:12, 5:15. That's why we still knew she was in it. We were about, I don't know, 10, 11 years old. We were in this big, way up building, and the window was big. We could see all the other tall buildings, you want to call them buildings, and we could see all the vehicles, the flying, everything. It was nothing like today. Nothing like these raggedy cities you see today. They're not beautiful, they're obtrusive. This was very beautiful. The sky was the clearest, the bluest, as blue as the ocean. Literally as blue as the ocean. Like, you see my truck, right? That's how the sky was, pristine. Clouds started rolling in. And I remember one of the women, I can't remember, I see her face, I can't describe it. All right? So I think I was 11, Snoo was 10, or I was 12 and she was 11. We had a couple other guys, a couple other kids with us. I remember them grabbing us and running to this lift from this very stylish 60s like, but the carvings, everything was like you would consider the Renaissance or something. Like, it was just beautiful teak, red brick in the house. It was just marvelous. The floor, everything was built so magnificently. Because I can remember how everything in the furniture was just, it resonated. Like, you felt good when you sat down. I'm just going to the day when this thing happened. I say it was around 5:11, 5:15. It could have been a little later. I remember seeing something, and it had a date on it, and it was like I was supposed to remember it. I don't know why. I can't remember what was on it, what I was reading. I don't know. They snatched us. And there was these things flying all around. Then it was a loud crack, like a suction, boom. Then I was in this place. And I remember running. And I ran in a different direction, like I was forced to run in that direction. Then I remember being with Sheila and so-called 19. I remember breastfeeding. That's what I remember. I remember the mole. I remember my mom's breast. I remember breastfeeding. Feeding and scraping. And I guess it's 1960s. Now I've been writing this stuff, you know, doing my best to recollect and recall everything. There's a lot of other things I remember too. okay? How we played. The tall, running in the tall grass, and the beautiful butterflies and some other things would just fly around, and almost like music, like a quartet. And you would see things in such drastically clear, far, no eyeglasses, none of that on the faces. The people, when they moved with meaning. It was real rhythmic. It wasn't so like falsely articulated today. It was like we glide, or I can't. It was different, but we didn't get. And the meeting started. I saw the things walking the alleyway. My brother curling up, scared, hanging in the closet, coat hanger, fires between my feet with these long matches with old-fashioned furnaces and stuff like that. Yeah, from a time of bliss to a climatic destruction that was so fast. I don't know who survived the weather. We didn't. We didn't survive it. That's not the story. I have to tell you how it ends, but I remember that. That's why I don't go out my way. There has to be purpose. My dreams show me another place where I'm like I guess you call it a teenager, maybe 20s, and it's another place, but it's really dark and gloomy, and I was never a bad individual. I always saw the up to something, everything, and it was different. Everything was really different. There was no grass. It was no trees. It was like on the horizon. Everything was like looked like it was on fire, but not fire. It was totally different. And then I remember again from Willardale to Miller Street, and I remember me having rage. I don't know why. Everybody's saying, why is this little boy always mad and angry? I don't know. I guess it's because, I haven't gotten that far. Now all my other dreams, although the majority of my dreams have been the very end of all this. Everything, the end of, and I'm talking about those who don't help. It's bigger than, and that's why I say they're pretty stupid. It blew me up right now. But and I know how it ends, and there's no way to change it. I've attempted to see if we can change. I walk in a dream. I've gotten to the point where I can reach out and almost touch individuals. They turn around, I'm not there. I'm looking in a mirror. I'm glazing over the ocean. And then I'm standing and I'm looking at individuals, and I've seen the faces, and I'm watching them walk through and to like a place of law, and these things that I'm aware of, even I can't go over it, are waiting. It's I don't have it locked down. I seen it. Is there another part to it? Yeah, but I've seen the worst of it. I've seen it good, or I've got to stand there and I've got to pick out every single thing, body, whatever. It's not time either. It's like, why me? anyway, I got a story to tell. Let's go ahead and get into the scrolls of Haya. Fragments of the dome, visions of the deceased beings, and experimental lands. It doesn't matter what they do with this neurochips, all the dumb stuff they're doing, everything, the little acting, all of it's an act. It's so meaningless. There's a purpose for something. I don't need to know it because it's in. So or in there, I don't know. I haven't tried. I haven't attempted to figure it out. You see how it's innovating and it's puzzling. But I know they screwed the pooch. Fragments of the Dome, Visions of the Deceased Beings and Experimental Lands by Claudio Naselli. That's him in Argentina. That's Claudio. I told you he's got a YouTube channel, Instagram, and Facebook account. Check him out. Pretty awesome. And Amazon, if you got Amazon Prime, it's awesome thing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. All right, let's get into it. Show you a picture of an artist's rendition. Is that pretty cool? The fragment on the dome. But I asked y'all to look into the blue crystals, all right, that come out of nowhere. And those were based on, I guess, when they were still doing Operation High Jump, you know, the Trump attempted to crack the ceiling. Here we go. I'm so sorry. Sorry about that. So here we go, the Captain's Truth. That's the first time I put it in all day. So, chapter 7, the Captain's Truth, excuse me. Hey, Roy, Dev, what's going on? Omek. Hey, Sharon. All right, chapter 7, the Captain's Truth. Joel took another moment to clear his mind and organize the thoughts for what was coming next. Finally, he exhaled deeply and resumed his story where he had left off. The captain was always a reserved man, Claudio, but that night something changed in him. It was as if, after years of carrying a heavy burden, he had decided to share it before it was too late. Although he never admitted it, I suspect the vision of his daughter was what pushed him to make that decision. He told me something I'll never forget. I didn't choose this path. Tell me about it. But I can no longer leave it. Sometimes you choose the road you walk, but other times the road chooses you. And it's too late to turn back. I'm sorry to say this, but now you can't turn back either. I feel that this will serve you more than it can serve me, as I carry the cross of past suffering. Remember, the cross is nothing but a talisman, okay? So look into that, okay? The conversation was delving into truly chilling depths, and there was still a long way to go, Joel continued. That night, he showed me more maps and documents. He led me to what he called his secret archive. It was a folder filled with yellowed yet carefully preserved papers and photographs that looked as if they had been taken In addition to the document titled Operation Rescue 2, we read this, but let's go over it again. He showed me even more reports and documents that I still haven't fully processed. Do you remember anything else about the documents related to this Operation Rescue 2, I asked. Ah, Joel replied, as if he had previously omitted. There was a section in the document describing how a large piece had been recovered in Antarctica, near a base that officially doesn't exist, which of course confirms the existence of other bases. They claim this piece was part of the invisible dome projector, okay? Hold on. Yeah, hold on. Woo! Yeah, I had to stop for a minute because, yeah. I decided to get back to that. So we were far beyond that. I just wanted to go back to that because I wanted to show that picture. My back is killing me, guys. Okay, here we go. Return to the Antarctic base, the mystery of the Morse Strait map. Excuse me. I don't know why my back is so sore. There we go. All right. Returning to the base was anything but a relief. The atmosphere was stifling. We were separated immediately and taken to individual rooms for interrogation. This reaction from the commanding officer was unexpected, though it was likely protocol after being out of communication for 5 days without sending navigation reports. Every question revolved around the dark vessel we had encountered. It was evident that the base leaders were dissatisfied with our answers. They wanted more, something we, in our confusion, couldn't provide or didn't even understand ourselves. I constantly felt watched. The narrow hallways of the Antarctic base, with their cold lights and incessant, this is where I was at yesterday, right? Incessant hum seemed to stretch endlessly, creating a labyrinth designed to disorient and isolate. Oh, this is different. The days following the interrogation were even more uncomfortable. That's the incessant. I thought it should say incandescent. You know what I'm saying? But he has INCASSENT. I don't know what that is. Or ANT, excuse me. I think it's incandescent. I think it's what they're trying to go back to as far as the lights and getting away from the LEDs, which are blinding and messing with your natural order. The days following the interrogation were even more uncomfortable. The tension among the crew was palpable. Some whispered theories in hushed tones, while others avoided speaking altogether. Trust had eroded completely. Captain Charlie was housed in sub-level 5, a section reserved for high-ranking officers. The rest of us were confined to sub-level 3. Only the crew members who had shared the strange experience were there. The rest of the base personnel were housed on other floors by direct order from the higher-ups. It felt as though an invisible barrier thicker than any wall now separated us. Not just physically, but in terms of information and secrets. Two realities existed only 2 floors apart. If such a divide existed here, I wondered, what must it be like in the world beyond? Despite everything, I knew I had to speak with the captain. There were questions only he could answer, concerns I couldn't ignore. The documents he had entrusted to me held unsettling truths, but they were incomplete. Something in his demeanor and actions told me he knew far more than he had revealed. 4 days after our return, the base's oppressive silence felt even heavier. We were not allowed to leave, partly because we were confined, and partly because the freezing climate outside could kill us within minutes. The hallway lights seemed dimmer that night, and the silence around me was almost suffocating, broken only by the faint hum of the red emergency lights in the corridors. Taking advantage of the lack of movement in my sector, I decided to leave my room. I walked cautiously, ensuring I wasn't seen. The base was equipped with cameras, but I had studied their blind spots. I knew that if I moved quickly and carefully, I could reach sub-level 5 undetected. The air grew colder as I descended. The lower levels of the base always seemed to carry a different atmosphere, as though the secrets they held permeated every corner. Finally, I reached the door leading to the officers' quarters. I paused, holding my breath. No one could know about my late-night venture. It sounds like Bruce Lee in Enter the Dragon. Jim Kelly got a beating for that one. I'd be in serious trouble if caught, yet something compelled me to press on. I moved lightly down the corridor, stopping at every small sound, my heart pounding in my chest. Eventually, I arrived at the captain's room. I knocked softly, hoping for a response. Nothing. I tried again. This time knocking a bit harder, but the silence persisted. Concern and curiosity mixed within me. I cautiously pushed the door, and to my surprise, it opened easily. The room was dark, illuminated only by a faint light from a desk lamp. The space was orderly, but there was an air of abandonment. Something was wrong. "Captain," I whispered. But there was no reply. The room was completely empty. It would have been like, "Captain." I didn't know if you could hear me over the wind. I moved slowly toward the desk, where several papers and maps lay scattered, some even on the floor. Before I could examine anything, a noise behind me made me spin around, thinking Charlie had returned, but there was no one there. Still, the sound heightened my alertness. I quickly scanned through the papers, searching for anything that could shed light on what was happening. Then I saw the same map again, marked with several routes that seemed to lead to lands beyond the ice walls. Beside it, there were scribbled notes in the captain's handwriting. The last phrase he wrote read, "Morris Strait," accompanied by coordinates. Time seemed to freeze as I tried to process those words. That's when I heard footsteps approaching down the hallway. I quickly turned off the lamp and hid behind the bed at the far end of the room. The footsteps stopped right outside the door. For a moment, that felt like an eternity. Nothing happened. Then the steps retreated quickly. Someone had been prowling nearby. I knew I had to leave or risk being caught. Seizing the opportunity, I slipped out of the room. My mind raced with questions, but one thing was clear. Whatever the captain knew had placed him in danger. And now I was in the same precarious position. As I returned to my room, his words echoed in my mind. More straight. Where was the captain? Why had he entrusted these secrets to me? And what was the significance of this mysterious passage? I knew time was running out for answers, and the risk of continuing this path had never been greater. In Chapter 12, The Shadow of Murder, oh, my back. The hallway was eerily quiet, broken only by the faint sound of my footsteps, which I tried to muffle as much as possible. As I reached the elevator to return to my floor, a loud noise came from behind a door at the far end of the corridor. Instinctively, I turned back to investigate. The path to that door felt endless, like the journey our ship had taken to this base, a path leading toward an unfathomable mystery. I need a massage, man. Shit. Excuse me. I knocked gently, waiting for a response that never came. The oppressive darkness of the space and the tension brewing within me pushed me to do what I knew I shouldn't. I cautiously pressed the door, finding it unlocked. With a slight push, it swung open abruptly. Hey, Charles Johnson, Alicia. Hey, what's going on? It's so scary. Roy, what's up, beloved? What's happening? Just want to shout us off. The stale air of the closed room hit me like a wall, and my eyes quickly fell on a motionless figure. A body sprawled on a small infirmary cot. Under the dim light, a dark pool extended beneath the figure. My stomach churned as I realized that it was. My trembling fingers brushed against the liquid, confirming my worst fear. Blood, I whispered, devastated. The figure was the captain. His neck bore a deep, precise cut, almost surgical in its accuracy. A chill ran down my spine, and the air around me seemed to freeze, as if time itself had stopped. Cold gripped my body as reality struck with the force of 1,000 blows. My mind raced. What now? If this brave man had met such a fate, what hope was there for restless souls like mine, who sought only the truth? What awaited me? Who was behind this? I had no time to process these thoughts. Everything happened in mere seconds. Suddenly, officers burst into the room, likely alerted by the same noise I had heard before entering. They quickly pulled me away from the body and secured the scene. Their demeanor was cold and methodical, but their eyes betrayed a palpable nervousness. They followed protocol, removing the captain's body in silence, yet their glances at me were heavy with suspicion. I sat on the floor, blood on my hands, emotionally shattered. I had been caught in a place where I shouldn't have been, with Charlie dead and a blade wound across his neck. The situation couldn't have been worse, and all the blame fell squarely on me. Before I could utter a word in my defense, 2 officers seized me and led me to the lowest sublevel, a section I had never seen. The walls seemed thicker, the corridors narrower. They brought me to an interrogation room where the questions came rapidly. What were you doing in the captain's quarters? Why did you descend to a restricted area? What were you looking for? As the questions persisted. The truth was far too dangerous to share, so I opted for a believable lie. Something that wouldn't worsen my predicament. I told them I had gone to see the captain to inquire about our next mission, claiming I desperately needed the money to support my struggling family. I fabricated a story about him promising me a place on an upcoming assignment, and explained that my presence in his quarters was a desperate attempt to secure my position. The officers exchanged glances. I could sense their disbelief. Though they didn't voice it openly, my story didn't convince them. But I suspected they didn't want to believe it either. After hours of questioning, they allowed me to return to my room, but the message was clear. I was now the prime suspect in a superior officer's murder. Now, the atmosphere in the base, already tense, became unbearable. I felt eyes watching me at every turn, not just those of the officers, but also my crewmen, our crewmates. Amid the chaos, my thoughts returned to the captain's death. Deep down, we all knew his murder wasn't random. Something far more profound and dangerous was at play, and no one wanted to be next. I managed to gather the other 11 crew members in a secluded corner of the mess hall, a large central room far from the cameras and microphones we knew were everywhere. Now, the conversation was strained. Some were reluctant to speak, fearing repercussions, while others were too frightened to articulate their thoughts. But gradually, we began piecing together what little we knew. This wasn't random, said one of the youngest members. His voice trembled. Someone here wanted to silence the captain. Maybe he had something he wasn't supposed to. Something like what? I asked, trying to mask my own nervousness. A prolonged silence followed until another voice, equally unsteady, broke in. He knew things. We all knew that. He wasn't like us. He had access to information no one else did. And if he shared something, maybe that's what put him in danger. The final comment struck me like a bolt of lightning. I feared someone might know about the documents. The captain had entrusted me with papers that I now realize could have been, the reason for his death. Was there someone else in the base who knew about those documents? Could they suspect I had them? Given that I had been found in the captain's quarters the night of his death, it was entirely possible. In the days that followed, the tension only escalated. They split us into smaller groups, isolating us further. Every sound in the hallway, every furtive glance from an officer felt like a harbinger or something worse to come. Meanwhile, my mind kept circling the same questions. Who killed the captain? Why? And what should I do with the secrets he had entrusted in me? The answer to these questions would mark the beginning of something far greater than I could imagine. Chapter 13, Under Suspicion. The days at the base turned into an endless cycle of interrogations that accusatory glances. Even my crewmates avoided looking me in the eyes or speaking to me. I understood their stance. I was in a completely unfavorable position, and our leader had fallen. The officers wasted no time in pointing to me as the prime suspect in the captain's murder. They took me repeatedly to the same cold and oppressive room on Civil Level 6, where the white lights and the silence of the walls seemed to conspire to break my will, pressing for a confession I couldn't give. Their questions grew more aggressive each time. Why did you do it? They asked with a chilling coldness that froze my blood. Different officers came, asking the same thing over and over. What was your motive? Resentment? Madness? Pent-up rage? They tried to tie my experience with the dark vessel to a supposed mental imbalance. They argued that the visions and psychological impact of that event had triggered an irrational fury against the captain. It was absurd, but I knew they weren't seeking the truth. They just wanted a narrative that suited their interests. The worst part wasn't the questions, but the fact that they seemed to know too much. Someone at the base appeared to have privileged information about the documents the captain had entrusted to me. Although they didn't explicitly mention the papers, their insinuations were clear. They were investigating how the captain had acquired classified information, and consequently, they began to question what I might know. My cell on the sublevel was small and barely lit. Hours passed slowly, marked only by the guards' steps in the hallway outside. I knew my situation was dire. Without a doubt, the worst I had ever been in. I couldn't ask for help or trust anyone, and it became increasingly evident that my survival at the base depended on my silence. Yet, my mind couldn't stop dwelling on the documents. Back in the captain's cabin, I had seen fragments of maps and reports containing unimaginable secrets. I needed to recover them. Those documents were the key, not only to understanding the captain's death, but also to unraveling the truths I had just begun to glimpse, and somehow to exposing it all to the world. However, the officers had likely erased all traces of those documents. Moreover, the restrictions on my movements were absolute. There were guards at every corner, cameras watching every corridor, and my actions were under constant scrutiny. Even myself, I felt the presence of invisible eyes watching me. I began to plan. I needed a way out, but every option seemed more dangerous than the last. I considered speaking to one of my crewmates, but I knew many of them were also under suspicion and might betray me. Any misplaced word could seal my fate. What kind of tribe is that? With all this going on to betray? Anyway, meanwhile, the interrogations continued. The questions became increasingly aggressive, and the officers seemed more interested in incriminating me than in finding the real culprit. Time and again, I denied any involvement, but their faces showed nothing but unwavering skepticism. You have no way out, one of them said during one of the sessions. We know the captain entrusted you with something. We'll find it, with or without your cooperation. After those words, my conviction was firm. This wasn't just about my alleged crime. They openly revealed it. It was about something more, something the higher-ups desperately wanted. And I knew the price of that something had been the captain's life. At night, in the solitude of my cell, though they moved me back and forth, I mulled over my options. Escaping seemed impossible. But staying there without acting would only lead me to a fate similar to the captain's. Wow. I needed a plan, I needed answers, and most importantly, I needed to recover those documents. While my mind traced uncertain paths, one thing was clear. The secrets the captain had left behind were so dangerous they could claim lives without hesitation. Ooh-wee! Man. Chapter 14, Under the Watchful Eyes of the High Command. What's this? Chapter 14, Under the Watchful Eyes of the High Command. The day I was called to the interrogation room for the last time, everything felt different. Two men I had never seen before sat across the table. Their dark-toned uniforms were immaculate, and their insignias gleamed under the cold, white light of the room. They had clearly come from elsewhere, perhaps another base, as no flights could reach this area due to the harsh weather conditions we were experiencing. Later, I learned that they had arrived from a nearby base, and their presence raised attention at our station. The investigation took a different turn, giving me a glimmer of hope, a possible ticket to freedom. One of them, with a severe face and an authoritative voice, spoke first. We have records of your entry into the captain's quarters at 1:45 a.m. after access to sub-level 5 had been sealed. At that moment, I began to imagine that they might fabricate evidence against me, and that my sentence had already been decided. Sounds familiar. According to the forensic report, he continued, the captain died at 11:20 p.m. Therefore, you cannot be considered directly responsible for his death. His words brought a momentary relief, a brief instant when my soul seemed to return to my body after days of torment. Still, his tone made it clear that I remained under strict observation. They were no longer asking questions. They were measuring every reaction, every word that left my lips. Do you have any leads on who might have done this? I asked, trying to stay calm. I intended to deflect any lingering suspicion from myself, but I was also genuinely curious. The captain's murder was no isolated act. I knew it and I felt it. The stern-faced man stared at me, but didn't respond. Instead, the second officer, younger and with a sharp gaze, spoke in a cooler tone. That is none of your concern. Your name has been cleared for now, but the investigation is ongoing. We suggest you avoid unnecessary questions. His response only deepened my unease. Why wouldn't they discuss the culprit? What were they trying to hide? They escorted me back to the central living area and left me there. At least I was reunited with my crewmates, who now seemed more open and began asking me questions. The atmosphere had shifted. It was as if they had suddenly started believing my version of an event. I attributed this chance to the arrival of the external officers, whose higher ranks seemed to shift the investigation toward uncovering the truth. A few hours later, while back in my quarters, I saw security officers escorting someone out of the base. It was another high-ranking officer who had shared the same floor as the captain. I barely knew him. Our interactions had been minimal and strictly informal. Seeing him detained stirred mixed emotions in me. On one hand, I felt an immediate sense of relief, knowing that, at least officially, I was no longer the primary suspect. But on the other hand, something didn't add. The detained man didn't seem to like someone who would commit murder. According to my crewmates, he was disciplined, reserved, even distant. Nothing about his behavior suggested a motive for killing the captain. For a moment, I felt he was experiencing what I would have faced if the external officers hadn't arrived to conduct the investigation. Well, was he another victim paying a price he didn't understand, or was he truly the captain's killer? That night, as I struggled to fall asleep, doubts began to flood my mind like a relentless storm. Had they really found the culprit, or did they just need a scapegoat to close the case? The R.B. Oswald. No, anyway. My instincts told me the captain's documents were the key to everything. Someone else at the base must have known of their existence. Maybe not everyone, but enough to make that information a grave threat. The captain had trusted me for a reason, and that reason was clearer now than ever. The secrets he had tried to protect could not fall into the wrong hands if they hadn't already. I knew my time was limited. Although my name was temporarily clear, the feeling of being watched hadn't disappeared. If anything, it was worse now. The eyes monitoring my every move seemed to be waiting for the slightest mistake to accuse me again. Accusory, right? Who was the detained officer really? Was there any connection between him and the documents? The questions remained unanswered, and each step I took in this spiral of secrets and betrayals made me feel more trapped. The relief of being exonerated was only temporary. I knew the real struggle was just beginning, and if I didn't act soon, they would come for me soon or later. Tomorrow we'll be getting into chapter 15, the snow odyssey of the vessel. My bad, fella. Excuse me, guys. Y'all like that? Was pretty good read. My apologies, a little gassy and everything. My nose running. I gotta get some of that honey and take a spoonful. Allergies are starting to kick back up a little bit. And the stuff right now is really thick now. So it's come back. They've been spraying like crazy because they're retarded. You know what I mean? But hope y'all enjoyed that. I'm gonna decide. I got a little smoothie I need to with some cayenne stuff I need to whip up. And I got some guys going to work on it yesterday. Natural gas, whatever. Anyway. I appreciate that, brother. Anyway, I appreciate everybody stepping in, man. Go ahead and get the smoothie together. We're right at 58 minutes. Again, share this out. Yeah, Ganja's got a channel. Y'all subscribe to his channel. I saw some of y'all comment on some of his stuff. I wanted to catch up on some of his videos. Because I don't get notifications. I don't get notifications. Westside, nobody, man. It is what it is. I get stuff that I'm not even subscribed to. It's just retarded. And I pay. You get what I'm coming from? That shows you that these individuals, these things they're way outside there. Like what you saw over there at the murder unit, right? Their behavior is pathetic. Anyway, I appreciate that. Baby Girl Slaughter, if you come in, I know you're kind of busy and stuff. Appreciate the donation, hon. Yeah, Grinder, absolutely. So she actually donated for a grinder, so pick that up. I would have picked it up today, but I'll get it tomorrow. All right, guys, and then AM will come on. I want to read something else that I hope you like the little thing that I wrote. You know what I'm saying? I wrote it this morning. It was actually a little more, but I just wanted to make those little point outs, you know. Just point those little things out. But I'm gonna head on in, get out of this, whatever it is, okay? And I appreciate you guys. All right.